I just saw Megan 2.0 and it was silly. Megan 2.0 is the latest movie by Gerard Johnston. It is a sequel to the 2022 hit Megan. If you didn't like the first Megan, you're definitely not going to like this film. Megan 2.0 picks up 2 years after the events of the first film, when the infamous AI robot went rogue and embarked on a murderous rampage. Megan's creator, Gemma, has reinvented herself as an advocate for government oversight of AI, all while she and her niece Katie try to resume their normal lives. However, when a defense contractor creates a military-grade weapon known as Amelia that also goes rogue, Jem is forced to team up with Megan to defeat this new threat. It is clear from very early on in the film that this movie has its tongue planted firmly in its cheek. If you were expecting this to be a genuine horror film or a film that takes itself seriously in any capacity, you are going to be sorely disappointed. If I had to classify this film, I would probably say it's an action comedy, with emphasis on the comedy part. There is a surprising amount of martial arts in this film. There are plenty of hand-to-hand combat scenes. And there's also the fact that young Katie herself has been taking Aikido and apparently watching a lot of Steven Seagal movies, which becomes a key plot point later. Sure, the plot is formulaic and the dialogue is unapologetically goofy, but I was never bored. Things move along at a brisk pace, and there are plenty of cool sight gags. You do need to turn off your brain and tune into this movie's frequency, but if you do, there's some definite fun to be had. One of the most baffling things to me is that people seem to be surprised that this movie is silly. The first Megan movie was silly. At no point was this a serious, grounded exploration of artificial intelligence. Complaining that this movie is dumb or unbelievable or not grounded in reality is similar to someone watching Velocipaster and then complaining about the quality of the special effects.
No. No. No!
I mean, it's like they weren't even trying. This movie has no pretensions whatsoever and is under no illusions as to how deeply absurd it is. There is literally a moment where the main characters are riding in a sports car being driven by Megan, and the theme to Knight Rider kicks in. I'm sure that many people watching this movie did not get these references. Um, they are obviously aimed at people more my age. If they wanted more universal appeal, they probably could have maybe mixed in a wider spectrum of references. The 90s or the early 2000s, they could have thrown in some more modern memes just to kind of cover their bases and make it more accessible. This movie is for a specific audience. First, you have to be okay with a movie being silly. You have to find robots dropping quips and then engaging in violence at least somewhat amusing. And you have to have some knowledge of 1980s culture. I would say that if you have all of those qualities, you're probably going to enjoy this film. It's not a world-changing film by any stretch of the imagination, but for what it is, it's fun. It has kind of a chaotic energy that I really appreciated. I was reminded of a couple of films, actually. Upgrade, a really great sci-fi film from a few years ago, directed by Lee Winnell. And I was also reminded at one point of *Malignant*, the very divisive James Wan movie. You'll know it when you see it, when the scene comes up. If this movie isn't your bag, I understand. I do believe that if this movie had been released in the winter, it would have performed much better. How much better, I don't know. It's obvious that dropping this film in the middle of summer with so much competition at the box office was a major mistake. This movie definitely isn't for everyone, but if you adjust your expectations and embrace this movie's absurdity, I think you just might have a good time with it. In fact, I have a feeling that when this one hits streaming, a whole new audience will discover it, and it might actually end up being a cult classic. Overall, this is a weird, freaky, fun little film, and I can't help hoping folks will give it a chance. Catch you next time.